Call anyway now,
Yeah,
and
cool.
then I can spice this all out. So yeah, you're from Rochdale originally.
Yeah, I was born in Rochdale, in the back streets of Rochdale. It's actually like the Bronx. If you've ever been
No
there,
way.
it's just really rough. But it's not a bad place to grow up, to be fair, because you sort of, I don't know. I don't know how old you are. I'm 29. We grew up in a time where we didn't have phones and stuff like that, so
Yeah,
it was more swinging from trees and jumping
yeah,
in ponds. So
yeah.
luckily, Rochdale's got a lot of stuff like that.
My family are from the northwest, so Bolton
Mm.
and Chorley is where they live. So every summer I would go up and we would go to like, Blackburn, we go to the Water Place and Camelot, uh, all those kind of places. So I've got really
Mhm.
fond perception of the northwest, and people are so much friendlier than they are down
Yeah,
south. So yeah, I'm 34, so very similar generation where mum and dad would let me
yeah.
play out until I don't know, dinner time or
That's
when
going
it
dark.
was dark. You just wouldn't get that now. It's called anyway now,
Yeah,
and
cool.
then I can spice this all out. So yeah, you're from Rochdale originally.
Yeah, I was born in Rochdale, in the back streets of Rochdale. It's actually like the Bronx. If you've ever been
No
there,
way.
it's just really rough. But it's not a bad place to grow up, to be fair, because you sort of, I don't know. I don't know how old you are. I'm 29. We grew up in a time where we didn't have phones and stuff like that, so
Yeah,
it was more swinging from trees and jumping
yeah,
in ponds. So
yeah.
luckily, Rochdale's got a lot of stuff like that.
My family are from the northwest, so Bolton
Mm.
and Chorley is where they live. So every summer I would go up and we would go to like, Blackburn, we go to the Water Place and Camelot,
Yeah.
all those kind of places. So I've got really
Mhm.
fond perception of the northwest, and people are so much friendlier than they are down
Yeah,
south. So yeah, I'm 34, so very similar generation where mum and dad would let me
yeah.
play out until I don't know, dinner time or
That's
when
going
it
dark.
was dark. You just wouldn't get that now. It's a weird
No.
shift.
Well, I think you said some cool places and like Waves. I remember going Waves
Yeah,
when I was a kid. Camelot's actually quite weird. Some kid died at Camelot. They fell off the Excalibur, which goes upside down. But the actual place is closed down now, and it's like some sort of, because obviously it was medieval themed anyway.
yeah,
There's like urban explorers that
yeah,
go there.
yeah,
It's like overgrown and dead creepy. So
yeah.
it looks cooler now than it did before.
I've
Uh,
seen that. They take drones around, don't they, and fly drones through the like what was it? Where they did the jousting. I remember they did the
yeah.
jousting and like they fly
That's
around
what's
there.
that's what's creepy about it, because it actually looks like an
Yeah,
abandoned medieval town.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
well funny.
So for me, so I was born in Rochdale, but I live over near Blackburn. So it's like it's only half an hour from Manchester City Centre, but it's in the hills. So you've got like reservoirs and like
Yeah,
hills to climb and cycle across and quarries to go and explore. And so so I moved from Rochdale to it's called Haslingden when I was about, I think it was in year 3. So but it's good that we remember a time before technology, because kids
I
these
know.
days grow up on it and they just will never know a world without it.
Well, I've got a stepdaughter who's 9, and she's obsessed with like her iPad, so TikTok and
Mm.
Roblox, and like the thought of her going and walking in a forest and like making a den is just like it's not even on her radar. Whereas when I was that age, all I wanted to do was be outside, playing football, skating, or doing whatever. It's scary that they're not having the same kind of
I used to take my bike, and I remember it was this big, massive, heavy off. Like, it wasn't even meant for mountain biking, but it was technically a mountain bike. And I used to take it and just drag it up hills. So like, there's a hill near me, and I wouldn't know how I did it now. Like, I don't know how I did it then. I couldn't do it now. But I used to drag it to the top of this hill, and then I used to ride across the hills all the way over to Blackburn, like on the actual hills as opposed to on the roads, and go through forests and get stuck behind fences
yeah,
and stuff. That like, now I wouldn't even dream of doing that. But you can see why the kids these days are so messed up. Like, they have so many issues because
yeah.
they're just so interconnected. It's a shame, really.
Yeah, it is. It's I said, do you know what? I suppose even from like your professional perspective, how you market now must be very different to like even like 10 years ago. You know,
Mm.
how you the platforms you use and how you try and speak to certain age groups. Like in your professional opinion, is that going to change the same amount over the next 10 years or?
I love, right? My favorite thing is when someone goes, "I've got 20 years experience." It's like, I don't care. Like, or if you've got less than 5 years experience, you're probably going to be on the same par as someone with 20 years experience. Like, yeah, it's great to know what happened in the past, but it's so, like, when I say it's changing, like, it's changing so much. It's unbelievable. And then new platforms springing up now. I find it so interesting, like with TikTok, for example, I find it so interesting to watch how many businesses are actually adapting and using it, or how many are pretending it doesn't exist. Because they did the same thing with Instagram. They did the same thing with Facebook.
Yeah.
You think by the third attempt at the new platform, they would just be on it straight, but they're not. And they're ignoring it. And a lot of them are quite snobby about it. Like, you know, I've got better things to do with my time than I've got a successful business to run. I'm like, all right, well, we'll see you in 2 years when you come into us trying to buy advertisements. And so I find that sort of stuff very interesting, but it changes so rapidly. And like, we'll take this the last 6 months, for example. You got businesses that would previously have never considered or even cared about their online presence. In fact, I had a company that I rang. Interestingly, we're also liquidators, so they would be one of the busiest firms during the coronavirus.
Yeah,
right? And they actually said to me on the phone, and they went, read our website. So I read the website, and it says, we don't want a nice website. We don't care. Here's a picture of a 2-pence coin. We do not need a pretty website to operate a business. And I'm thinking to myself, how are these people that are liquidating right now going to find you? And if they do find you, how are they going to contact you? Because the only way they can do it is online, because they can't even go out the house. So that sort of like ego, I guess it is. And then I said it's snobbiness. It's not. It's ignorance, really. And inability to adapt is, you know, it's so prevalent right now, but it's more of an issue than I think a lot of people realize. Like, yeah, technology has changed over time, and like 10 years ago it's changed. If you haven't kept up, you would have died. But in the last 6 months, it's like the way the shoppers, consumers, buyers, even B2B is all being conducted. It's all changed and switched to digital, and all of a sudden there should be a panic, but there isn't. And that's what's worrying for a lot. Well, for me as a marketer, thinking, well, if they're not panicking, why are they not panicking? Because consumers aren't just going to go back to how they were before. Behaviors are modified and changed. And like older demographics where they would have previously visited your store will be shopping online. And therefore, if they're shopping online now, they'll go, well, this is easy. I'm going to carry on shopping online. I might still go to the store. But so you can see, just how fast things change. It's unbelievable.
Okay. So Hustle then is your digital marketing agency?
Yeah.
So what kind of clients are you working with at the moment? Who's, you know, how are you generating business, and, you know, who are you working with in this kind of mental time?
Mm-hmm. So Hustle was created in 2016.
Okay.
And it was originally, I was working in e-commerce at the time, and I wanted to get more experience. And I basically developed this sort of foolproof process of increasing sales online for any e-commerce business, no matter who they were. And it was applying SEO principles and all this sort of best practice and applying it to e-commerce. And it saw great results for loads of different big businesses. And I started just doing it on the side. And it was there always as a side project. I would work with businesses like here and there, do like bits and pieces, bit of SEO work, bit of web dev, whatever. And then I got made redundant in just recently. And when I got made redundant, I had a choice. I was like, well, Hustle's there. And I'm at a level now where I've worked in agencies for a while. I've had a lot of marketing knowledge, a lot of marketing roles. Like, I've got experience in loads of different industries. Maybe I could just make a full go of it. So I was like, how can I make it different? And yeah, anyone can start an agency and go, I'm going to be a marketing agency. And it's just best practice. A chimpanzee could do great marketing. It's just give them a book and go, there's a list of best practices, and do it. And anyone can do it. And the issue is the time, and the experience makes it faster. So therefore it's worth business outsourcing it. But everyone's doing the same thing. So I was like, how can I make it different? Well, I'm only going to work with businesses that are set on being disruptive. They don't want to be the norm. So this, again, aligns with what I was saying before about the podcast and who I am as a person. I don't like being normal. I think it's boring. I want to stand out. And therefore, I think businesses should stand out and stand apart, because why would they all want to be doing the same thing and they all just sort of get a benefit? Whereas if one does something completely different, it aligns with people's core values. People believe in it. They buy into the brand. They buy into what they're trying to do, and they buy from them. And the ones that don't agree with them, great. They're crap customers anyway. They don't want them. So I thought, why not start a disruptive agency? And disruption in marketing has always been there. It's a thing. It's all, disruptive marketing is a thing. It used to be called guerrilla marketing. It was always being weird and wonderful. But I feel like that sort of creativity got lost along the way, and everyone just got focused on doing things best practice. Now, anyone can do that. I want to be disruptive. So I only work with businesses now that are committed to standing out in their industry and want to do something different, and don't want to just blend into the crowd, and don't want to just become part of the noise. They want to really do something different. And they're the sort of businesses that I've been attracting.
Okay. And are you having to do lots of kind of BD, or are they coming to you at the moment?
Yeah, this is it. So they're coming to me. I spent, like I said, before lockdown, I was working in an agency. I was there for only like 4 months before I got made redundant. And then before that, I was at another agency. where for 6 months I actually was helping the sales team and I was seeking business. And I've had more clients. Let's say I've had more clients in the last 2 weeks than I've had in those 8 months where I was going out there searching for clients. I've had, more when I've just been sat here just sharing my personal values, what I believe in, what I think is wrong with marketing. Like my failures get more engagement on social channels than my wins, because it's embarrassing for one. A lot of people don't talk about their embarrassments. Two, people are going, well, you're a dickhead for doing that. You should have done this. So they always come in with their opinion, but realistically, they've made the same mistakes in their past, or they make mistakes every day, but they won't share them. So I'm saying what people aren't willing to say. I'm just opening the door to who I am as a person. And I guess the cause behind it is I got made redundant. It's I either evolve or I die. No one was hiring. So what my options? I think people sort of, I've just opened the door to my life. Like I was saying last month, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills this month. I have no idea. I actually lost my job whilst on a Zoom call like this, and I shared that video. It was embarrassing, but I shared it.
Yeah.
So whilst I was on a Zoom call, I got a phone call where we're going to have to let you go. Yeah. I was like, I was literally just talking about what if I lost my job. So because I've been open and transparent, people are, I think, connecting with me, and that's where the idea behind the sort of disruptive sort of just be different sort of mentality came for Hustle, which was don't try and sell to people. Don't try and sell them on your product services. Sell them on your why, what you believe in, what you're trying to achieve. And if their values align with your values, they'll buy into that. And a lot of people don't do that.
So you're a very naturally creative person, right? And
Weird.
having seen a lot of your stuff, what influences you? Because I assume it must be really hard to be disruptive, because I wouldn't have a clue where to start in terms of putting a disruptive campaign together. What is your kind of disruption process?
So I was chatting to a client, a potential client, they just got to pay their invoice, so they're technically not a client. But I was just talking to as a man and wife business, and then we were talking about what makes it different, and we would talk through the strategy. We would talk through what we're trying to achieve and all the different touch points that people will come across. And then you just look at each bit and go, how can we make it different? What would be different? Why would it be interesting? Why would it be engaging? Would it spark a debate? Is everyone going to agree with it? If everyone agrees with what you do, right, in it personally as a person, if everyone agrees with what you're doing, you can guarantee you're not pushing hard enough in life. People should not all agree with you. You should have some that support you and some that are going, what a prick, because you're making them worry about themselves. Same with businesses. If every business likes you being in their industry, you're not doing enough to stand apart. You're not threatening their market share. You're not stealing their customers. And that's sort of the logic behind what we're doing. And I know you're not mentioning it, but hidden travel, the same logic applies to that, where we're looking at what everyone else is doing and we're looking at how we can tweak every single aspect of it. And when you look at the big picture, it's actually completely different. But it only requires, when they get to the website, what journey are they going to go through? How can that be different? What language are we using? How can that be different? How can we display our core values? Do we tell people why we're doing what we're doing? And just that sort of thing. Yeah.
So
it's hard to explain. It's hard because it's more of emotion and a feeling as opposed to a logical, rational decision. It's more like, does this feel right? And when I say disruptive, it doesn't mean that we're going to go and I don't know, set fire to a pig at a Christmas market because we support vegans or whatever. I don't know what the hell they do. But it's not disruption like that. It's more disruptive in their own field. Like, are they doing the same as everyone else? And if so, why?
Yeah. Okay. So touching on hidden travel. Tell me about that. That seems like, and again, I've seen the website and what you're doing. It seems like a really interesting concept. It'd be good to kind of learn from you more about it.
So it was a concept. It was what I went on The Apprentice with, which was I had this idea for a travel company. Now, this business is something that I developed over years. I've been working abroad for a long time before I went into marketing. I used to watch week in, week out, the guests arriving, and like cattle, they were herded from the plane to the hotel, had the same meetings. They went from the same meetings to the same bars. They had the first bar crawl the first night, and they went to the same pool party the next day, and the same beach, and they had the same routine. And everyone went home going, I've had an amazing holiday. And at the end of the summer, you've got 30,000 people who all had the exact same experience, and none of them realized. Not only that, but they say they went to Cyprus where I was working. They didn't speak to one Cypriot person the entire time. They didn't eat one Cypriot meal. They didn't see anything apart from British people in British bars drinking British beer. And it was like, what is the point? Like, I get it, right? You want to get drunk, but what is the difference between this and Blackpool? The only difference is the sunshine here, and Blackpool, has turds in the water. But apart from that, in fact, Iron Apple has turds in the water, so it's not even that different.
Just for donkeys. There's no donkeys in Iron Apple.
Well, yeah, well, but I guess I was watching this year in, year out, and I was just becoming frustrated because I didn't aspire to go on these holidays, right? And I never wanted. I actually don't book them holidays. I've worked in them, but I would never book one. And I kind of figured that there's just nothing for younger people. And I said to my mates in the resort at the time, I went, "This isn't going to last. I can't see this sort of holiday lasting much longer because the younger kids are coming through and they've got Instagram now and they're looking at amazing places and they don't look at. You don't look at, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a good example. You don't look at, say, Sri Lanka on Instagram and think, wow, I wonder if there's like an Irish bar nearby.
Yeah.
You don't, yeah. And so I didn't see it lasting. And then lo and behold, the 1830 closed down. And I was like, well, when that happened, I thought I've got something here. And I started putting my ideas down on paper and thinking, could I realistically create a brand? And I know it costs, I Google it, it says it costs hundreds of thousands of pounds to start a travel company. I'm never going to get that kind of money. So I just thought, nah, it'll never happen. Anyway, I went on this show and I applied with a digital marketing agency. And that's where I got my interview from. And then when they asked me the question, what would you do with 250 grand? I went, well, I wouldn't do an agency. I could do that now. I would do a travel company. And they were like, well, you've not given us a business plan for a travel company. I was like, I know, I'm also an idiot. And I went, just give me 2 weeks and I'll create a business plan for a travel company. And so I went away and I got all my notes and I put this plan together and I got cash flow and forecasting and I thought 250 grand, I could do this. And that's what I went on the show with. But the problem is when I went in front of millions of people saying I'm going to start a travel company, you kind of have to start a travel company. So otherwise you look a bit of a twat. So since finishing, I've gone, shit, this has to be, I have to make this happen now.
Shall we do it now?
So that was the push I needed where it was just like, you know what, we don't know how we're going to do it. We've got no money in the bank. Don't know what's going to happen, but I want to create this concept, something different, something that's really aspirational, something that inspires people and they want to go on these vacations. And not everyone will be able to afford them because they're not going to be cheap because we're not going to cut the costs. And all the things that current tour operators do, we're doing the opposite. And then I found a business partner and then literally 6 months later and I have a bloody business, which I didn't expect. Just typically though, as I'm starting a travel company, international travel worldwide.
You couldn't make it up because fucking hell. Yeah.
So that's, it literally came from me watching for a few years whilst working for tour operators, and I just noticing that the lack of, it just didn't feel like an escape. It didn't feel like a vacation. It felt like it was a tired model. And don't get me wrong, them sort of holidays have been around since the 60s and 70s. You know, our parents and grandparents went on them. So it's obvious it's in need of a revamp. This whole sort of cheapest shit holiday, getting the crappiest flight, and it's there if you want to get away. I get that. But who actually dreams of going on these? Who dreams year round of getting squished onto an EasyJet flight, getting herded onto a bus, and then driving around resort because your stop's the last one in the bloody resort when you get there, and then arriving to find there's dog food in your fridge and a hobo in your shower. Like all that sort of stuff.
I've got that at home, so
but it's all that just to save a few pounds. And then when they say they go to Ibiza and they get all that cheap stuff, and then they still spend $2,000 on drink because it's an absolute rip-off in resort.
Yeah.
You could flip that in reverse and actually pay a bit more for a gorgeous hotel, great, an amazing transfer. When I say amazing transfer, we're getting blacked out SUVs versus coaches, and you get to the hotel, you've got cocktails waiting for you, bags in your room, and we've got a get together that night, and the next day we're going to a nature reserve, and we're building a mud hut the day after. Do you know what I mean? Just actually giving a bit of culture, an amazing experience, and just doing it nice.
Yeah,
it costs the same.
So obviously COVID hit, kind of March, international travel stopped. How did that completely stop? Or pause hidden? What's going on with it?
So we've been spending. So obviously, like I said, we had no money. We've got a little bit now, but I just got an email from a client saying everything is shit. I was like, what is that? Yeah. It looks like she's copied websites of competition and sent me a list of the competition.
Yeah.
But it just pops up over your face saying everything is shit. Sorry for the distraction.
That's right.
Yeah. So everything. Right. So we were trying to do it with no cash. Now, I don't know if you ever tried to start a company with no money, but it's impossible. But we were just swinging a prayer. We were going A to B, B to C, C to D. We were like, right, screw the long game. We know what we need cash at some point, right? We don't know where it's coming from, but we're just, let's manifest it. So A to B, great. We've got, we found a contact that we can maybe work with and use. Then we need an ATOL license. Okay, right. Well, what is one of those and how do you get one? Well, they cost £50, by the way. So we were like, right, well, we need to work with a partner then, right? So we found a partner, and then that partner we started making plans with, and then we're like, oh, it's not going to work. We can't use them. So we just find, and basically we just sort of navigated like this through different contacts and people. And eventually we found a way in which we could start a business where we wouldn't need any money. We can book things without cash. We can, the hotels and supplies all get paid after the guests come back. We're protected with all the right licenses, and we're like, perfect. And then just before we were about to apply to work with these guys, COVID hit. So we just paused, which is good for us because we haven't paid anything. Then obviously with coronavirus and all those sort of issues, we were like, we're just going to wait it out. And we still expect a second spike in winter. So we've included into our plan of what we're doing. We've factored that in. So we, just in case something happens, we're expecting something to happen in wintertime where everyone's, immune system goes down. So in case that happens, we've planned around that. And we're now looking at launching our first tour in a couple of months, but we're going to run that tour in following 2021. So like Feb, March. So they get like a good year to pay for it. And then from that point, every couple of months, we'll launch a new destination. So they'll just go boom, boom. And eventually what you'll find is we're running tours every couple of months and selling new destinations at the same time.
So is it the actual experience is like very, very boutique and individualized? So you're not doing kind of mass, I don't know, Sri Lanka, Goa, Thailand, or whatever at the same time. It's just one place.
Yeah, so we're going to certain places now. We might move around when we get to these places because we're based. So for example, we'll take South Africa. If we went to a place in South Africa, we might spend a few days here, a few days in the mountains, a few days in a safari park, and then etc. and come back to the city. We might move around from accommodation, but we'll go to certain places and we'll be in groups of 25 roughly max. Now, I originally wanted to take hundreds of people and obviously maximum profit, but then what you do when you do that is you end up cutting costs. You end up squishing people onto things and for example, transport, logistics, and all that sort of stuff. Everything sort of gets crap. It gets, I don't know, the experience sort of gets dimmed. And I think it has to be boutique. It has to be small groups. It has to be enough people to have an atmosphere when you're there. And, so we can create an atmosphere. We can walk into a bar and we have an atmosphere with us. It's not just you and three guys stood there just looking at each other. But I also don't want that sort of like, a guest feels like they're just being herded around like cattle, and I don't want to feel like they're just going through the same experience as everyone else. So they're going to be specified destinations and group tours, and then they're going to change every time as well. We won't go to the same places twice. We'll never do the sort of make a deal with the hotel and just keep sending people there sort of thing. And we'll do individual bookings as well. We've had a lot of people asking us about honeymoons and couples holidays and engagements and stuff like that, and I can see why, because if you wanted to propose to someone on a beautiful destination, you go on TUI's website, you're going to be around screaming kids and like alcoholics, like running around the bar and all inclusive. It's just not that amazing experience. So there isn't actually anywhere to go. If you want to book an amazing experience, there really isn't, unless you want to pay a lot of money. There just isn't anything.
It's really interesting, right? So me and my fiance, we were due to get married in August, so this August, and that got cancelled obviously because of COVID and stuff. So we said, and that was in the UK, and we said, what, fuck it, let's get married abroad. What, it will just be so much nicer and easier to do. And like we've got money literally ready and waiting to buy somewhere to go, but we just cannot find anywhere like TUI. Even like independent travel counselors, online, nowhere where we can go and say, look, this is what we want. We want something amazing. Can you sort it out for us? There's nothing doing that or nowhere doing that we can find. So that's such an interesting concept that what you guys are doing.
And we're also we're not targeting really rich people. We're targeting young professionals, me and you, our age group, 25 to 35. Now, obviously, a bit older than that, but I'm saying like, we're pricing ourselves away from. We don't want people to come and just get pissed and stuff. So that's we want young professionals. People who want to escape. People who we might do a yoga retreat. We might do a fitness camp. We might do these certain types of things that aren't going to appeal to people who want to just go and get pissed on holiday. And you would have an amazing experience, and you get all these amazing photos and stuff. And people come back and go, "Wow, where have you been?" And you go, "Well, you can't go there now because they're not going there again." I think that's an exclusive experience. And like you just said there. TUI is another one. I used to watch TUI and Thomas Cook at the time, they had their weddings, so they would do weddings within their tour operators, and it's because they've applied the same model to it. They've gone, how can we make this as cheap as possible? And what all that means is that, right? So if you get things cheap, it means that your transport is going to be as cheap as it can be. The driver is going to be an asshole, because he's angry because he's not getting paid loads of money. He's got to wait for everyone else to turn up. And then when you get to resort, the hotel check-ins ran because they've not got enough staff on, because they can't pay the staff because they're not getting paid for cheap holidays really does impact your experience in all the different places you don't expect. The food at the buffet is cheap. It's been bought in bulk because it's all British, and it's these terrible eggs and shit beans that you don't know why they make them, but they don't taste anything like home. But the point is, all that stuff comes together, and you can have a gorgeous 5-star hotel, but it just feels not right. And you might get great pictures and stuff, but it's the when you're there, the experience behind it and what you get that makes it. And I used to watch them book these weddings, and like when the bride and groom would arrive, they just sort of cart them round, and they're going through the same process they've been through with every other couple, and it becomes automated, and it's just not amazing. It's not unique, and it doesn't feel like it's been thought through, and it's not the experience that I can think anyone would want for their wedding. So I can see why people are coming to us saying, can you help us with the honeymoon?
It's almost like
the other option is, go on.
I was going to say, it's almost like a conveyor belt, isn't it? Like I've been to like other people's weddings abroad, and like you lie by the pool and you'll see like one bride go past in the morning, then like another one a couple of hours later, like literally walking exactly the same route, like you say, being herded through. And it's just like, you don't really feel that special, do you? Like kind of doing that.
It becomes a routine.
Yeah.
And they just reset and go, right, places everyone, and then it's the next one. And I think that's where the magic is lost. And I think a lot of tour operators forgot about that when they're trying to provide as low, cheap holidays as possible. They forget about that. And I know for a fact, if I'm going to go on holiday, I don't want that. I'm not going to aspire to go on the same holiday I know thousands of people have done. The only other option you've got is to book it yourself. And when you book it yourself, you've got to figure everything out. You've got to find your flights, you've got to find your transport, you've got to get to your hotel, and everything's an extra effort, And if you need something, you've got to figure out something. If something goes wrong, you've got to deal with it yourself. And if you want to go to the experiences and excursions, you've got to go book them yourself, and you pay more because you're on your own as opposed to a group booking. And so, and then you've got to go find people, and you want to find people that speak your language and hang out and make friends. And so I think that's the bit that's missing, what we're sitting in, which is premium, aspirational, stylish getaways, really amazing locations, the sort of places you see on Instagram. Being around people your own sort of age, but again, it's a unique experience. That your mates can't just go and book the same holiday. I think that's what all stands us apart. And like, to be honest, there's not even that much money in it. It's ridiculous. Like we're doing this and we're thinking not one point did me and Luke sort of go, we're going to get rich from this. That wasn't the point of what we were doing. In fact, when I reached out to Luke, I brought him in as a business partner. This is an idea I've got. I want to reinvent the way things are happening. And I said, I literally said to them, there's going to be no money in it for us. Like, we'll have the great feeling of like saying we built something. Yeah, we might make enough to sort of survive, but we're not going to get rich off it. But that's not the point. The point is, can we build something that people want to be a part of and people align themselves with, and they buy into our values and what we're trying to do, and just change the way things are being done. And I think right now we can we'd see us, if we do well, we'll probably force other people to copy and change the way they're doing things. You still get people who want to go on cheap holidays and book, cheap flights and get away, because that's always going to be a given. But we're the one that you would save up for. And once it's booked out, it's sold out, and you might not get our place on it, and then you have to go, shit, where are they going next?
Yeah.
We're those guys, and there's nothing like that at the moment.
So you don't see this as something that you're going to scale up and make really, really big. It's just going to be purely kind of to, I suppose, prove a concept and change the way things are done, or?
No, first we're going to prove the concept. I mean, I said to Luke, there's going to be no money in it for a few years, so we know that. It's because every bit of cash we're going to get, we're going to reinvest back into it, and we're not trying to get as much profit as possible, which is another issue that a lot of companies do. They go profit first, and then if you focus on just the profit, the experience is going to suffer. So we're just making sure that people get the value for what they book. Now, don't get me wrong, we will scale it. The idea is prove the concept, prove it pays for itself, and we can make money from it, and then grow it. So maybe in a few years we might make some money. Maybe in a few years someone will buy it off us, and they'll run it better than us, and they'll take that what we've created and make it something massive. But whatever happens, right now, it's just a great excuse to go on holiday every few months. So I'll be like, I've got to go work. I've got to go work on hidden travel. What a shame.
Yeah, tough life, right?
Yeah, take my laptop. work on my client's website as well, sat in, I don't know, the Sri Lankan jungle. Don't even get Wi-Fi in most places we're going to try and go.
You'll be fine then, boy. So that's actually something interesting as well. So um, you, over the last kind of 4 or 5 months, there's been a huge like drive about people working remotely and flexibly. The businesses you're creating, are you going to create them with that flexibility in mind and being able to work from the Sri Lankan jungle or the Goan beach or wherever?
Yeah. So the actual hustle, the design behind hustle, I sat and thought about the process and how I'm going to grow it and how I'm going to work with people. And I point blank said I don't want an office. I mean, yeah, it's nice to have a place to hang out and stuff. Maybe I'll have an apartment with a slide, a ball pool. But
Yeah.
in terms of where people are going to work from, I think they should be able to work from their laptop wherever the hell they feel comfortable. As long as someone does a good job for me and they smash it, then I'm happy. Because I know, for example, I woke up late today. I woke up about 12, which is crap, but I did. And I know that I'll be working until late in the morning. But I know that when I'm working, I'm just smashing on with work. And I know for a fact in a day of my own, I do way more than I would ever do sat at a desk in an office. So that's just how I choose to work. And I think I don't see why you couldn't work remotely. Now, there are people that would like to work in an office and would like to sit at a desk and be around people, have that atmosphere. They're probably not the right person to work with me because that's not how I work. But at the same time, I would like to meet people in person and interact. In fact, there's a thing at the moment I'm doing. It's called the Hustle Secret Society. God, I don't know how all these things start. They've got stupid names on them.
That's all right.
So the Secret Society is basically me doing a video saying, you know what, I'm sick of being on my own today. I want to meet some people, and there's got to be people out there that feel like me, right? I'm pissed off. I'm stressed. I don't know how I'm going to get some cash in. Like, I'm gonna start a secret group, and those secret people we're gonna meet in the dark and the shadows, and we're gonna discuss topics and share information. And then everyone started messaging me saying, "Can I be a part of your secret group? What's this secret thing?" And because it was a secret, it became the secret thing. It was not supposed to be there. It was supposed to be like a networking thing.
Yeah.
And now I've got a list of 100 people that want to meet up, and I've got to put on a secret event. But the point is, I still want to meet people in real life and interact with them. I don't think you can just solely stay remote. I think you have to be around people and feed off their energy and share ideas. But I think a lot of the time you can work from anywhere you want.
Yeah, we're going through a similar thing at the moment. We had an amazing office, and we gave it up at the beginning of March. Really, our lease was up, and we thought, you know what, we're probably not going to be able to get to it for a while anyway. So let's not have this expense. And I've almost been full circle now. So at the beginning, I was like, yeah, working from home, perfect. Happy days. But now, having done that for a few months, I really struggle to work from home on my own. So I need that human interaction. I need to have people around me to bounce off and to give kind of live feedback to, and to I don't know, just be around. So I'm kind of it's full. So flexibility, obviously, come in and leave when you want, but I kind of want like a hub for everyone to be able to come to. Not every day, but it's it's I suppose it depends on person.
Maybe that's the key, because we both said the same sort of thing. Like, we like working around, but there's that you need to be feeding off people's energy. Maybe that is the key. I honestly do believe that there'll be a lot of office spaces left vacant. I think a lot of people are going to be ditching assets left, right, and centre and property, because think of the old big massive companies like the one I used to work at. The 200 people on one floor in a mill. All the people right now are working from home. And they probably save themselves a lot of money. So they're probably going to look at the sheet and go, do we really need all this space?
Yeah.
So those companies will probably start ditching property. But I think you're right. There needs to be like a hub, a meetup, a thing where you just get together. I keep looking and eyeing up the shared office spaces as I'm walking through Manchester. I think, would I maybe rent an office for £100 a month? I've always avoided it because, I've never had the cash to do it. But I'm thinking, now I'm full-time on my own, get me out of the house, because I'm sitting here just growing tits at the moment.
I've done that very effectively over the past 4 months, mate.
So I'm just thinking maybe that would be. But then again, if you pay for it and you don't use it, it's going to be annoying, isn't it? And
100%.
Like you with your office. But do we all need to be going to the office every day? No. And I tell you what, the commute, that's unbelievable. The amount of money I've saved on fuel and time, like I'm an hour and a half each way, both days. And, instead of spending 70 quid a week, 75 quid a week on fuel, I'm spending 140 quid a month. So it's like half the fuel cost for me, which is just ridiculous. I mean,
do you know what? I took so at the moment I've got like a desk in a co-working space. It's a little shitty one. Oh, it's not shitty. It's really nice. It's not shitty at all. I'm going to edit that bit out because they will watch this. So I've got this co-working space. This beautiful, beautiful office. And do you know what? I did it because I wanted to get back out of the house. I wanted to, like be somewhere different. And I'm only working there on my own, so none of my guys are working there yet full time. But weirdly, I found it. First week was wicked. Oh my god, there's people about. I'm not on my own. But then, kind of second and third weeks, I was thinking, shit, this is actually even more lonely. There's people around, but I'm not really talking to anyone just yet. Like little conversations, but nothing proper. So now I'm desperate for like everyone else to come and like all of my guys to come and work in there with me, because I get really like if I'm doing a sales call or I'm talking to a client or whatever, and like I'm kind of thinking that accountant over there is like staring at me because I'm talking quite loudly. So we've got a WeWork. Well, we had a WeWork in London, and that was amazing. If there's WeWorks in Manchester, which I think there is, I would 100% recommend like doing that, especially as they got the beer tap at 3:00 and it's free after that. It's that is an absolute, it's dangerous, really.
I think obviously this is the first time I've not had a job in like my life. I've always had a job and a safety net. So now this is the first time what I'm looking at right now is my workspace, and I think I need to start playing with it and seeing what do I enjoy. I know for a fact that I need to be able to be remote because of Hidden, because I know that in a year's time I won't be in the UK. I'll be moving around and I'll have to be able to work. And I also know for a fact I want a freelance team because I don't want to have to just have team members because they're local. I want to find the best people no matter where they are.
Yeah.
So I know that I need to have that freedom, but I also know that I would probably enjoy an shared office space. I know for a fact that I am the sort of person that will go and make friends with everyone in the office, and they would all know my name, and I'd be selling stuff to them all. So I think in terms of like that sort of work environment, I think I might have to just try it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll change my mind. I'm not sure about having the team around me. I don't know if maybe if they were nearby, like if they were Manchester based and it is in Manchester, then yeah, sure, we can link up and work. But I don't know what I'll enjoy. But again, this is all trial and error with me. I've always just had the idea of a freelance network, because how can you know you're working with the best web developer if you're only working with people that live in Manchester and they drive to commute to you? Whereas, the guy might be the best one that's available and he's in London and he's not going to drive to you.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of finding the best people, but I don't know. So it's all trial and error for me. I think, like you said, WeWork is something that really does attract me. I'm sure they've got a high price though. I think they're not cheap.
Yeah, they're not. We paid like $550 for a one, like not even like a fixed desk, but just access to it for a month. But I kind of justified it because obviously in London it's expensive. The pints and stuff are expensive. So if I was it was my colleagues. He was working down. If I was to go see him once a week, we would probably go out to the pub and we'd probably have between 3 and 4 pints each, which would probably be about, add up to maybe 40 quid a week. So that would be 160 quid a month. So if I deduct that off of 550 it costs, it pays for itself.
Drink value.
Yeah. So look, we're only at 427 at the moment.
Money's worth.
I probably would as well. But yeah, so they're really cool. So I was reading in the interview you did with MEN, like it comes across you've got a very, very kind of very like self-assured and confident that it's going to work out for you. Where does that come from? Like, is that always been in you, or have you trained yourself to be like that?
Well, it comes day by day. Some days I'm like, oh shit, I've no idea what I'm doing. Probably hour by hour, I'm going, yeah, I just want a new, like I said, just want a new client. The next one, I'm like, crap, I need to do this. Do you know what? I don't know, right? This is the weirdest thing for me. Business, I was never interested in growing up, right? I studied sports. I didn't care about college. I kicked out of college 3 times. I studied sports. Thought I was going to be a sports masseuse or something. And then went working abroad as a rep. Business wasn't even on my radar. And then all of a sudden, it's when I met people in ski resorts that were rich and successful business owners and entrepreneurs, and I started harassing the shit out of them. I asked them so many questions, and they came from relaxing all day. They went game one. Yeah. I used to ski with them every day. I'd be like, "So, what did you guys do? So, how did you get to that? Oh my god, what are you studying?"
Excuse me.
Well, the funny thing is, if you go with a ski rep, you have to like go for dinner with them and you have drinks with them. And you ski days with them. So, like every point we stopped, I'd be like, "So, yeah, tell me a bit more about that business." And that was the first. I think it was the first point for me. I was like, I want this. So it was more like I want to be like these guys. And then I think it just became a thing where I just started saying, it's hard to, I could feel it. Like, honestly, I feel it there, right? I could just feel that I was supposed to do this. And it's the weirdest, most like stupidly voodoo thing ever. But I just feel it. It's like I kept saying to people, like, oh, it's burning my stomach. I can feel it. And I speak to people, and other people would tell me that that's how they felt when they were my age. I was like, my God, maybe it's right. And then random people would tell me, like, so I joined the business society at university, and I started putting these loads. I mean, I used to ring them up every month going, I've got this new business idea, and I go, can you meet me? And I go and sit there with a mentor and go, right, it's basically, I remember one of them was like, it's like a snowboard, but it's speakers and it floats, and you go in the water and it's in a bag. And they were just like, what are you talking about? I was like, but it's like, it's for the beach, because the beach, you only have small speakers. And I used to just come up with these stupid ideas, and I used to write them all in lists. And I just found that was what motivated me. This creativity, and that it allowed me to just be open. But I kept saying, I can just feel it. Something's going to happen. And at the moment, even when I lost my job, I was saying on the phone before I lost the role, I was on a Zoom call talking about how to try and keep your mindset, keep focused, like when all shit hits the fan. And then it actually happened. I was like, oh God, now I've actually got to stick by my word. And like, I was on Zoom like this. I was like, I'm gonna have to go in a minute. Car payments due in a week.
Yeah.
So like, but I just weirdly, I thought I would panic, and I didn't. I think it's just, I just know, I can just feel it, and I don't know how I know. I don't know what. And you know what? I'll be so pissed off if I'm wrong, because if your entire life you just thought, just keep taking steps forward, keep taking steps, it's going to happen. You're going to get there. You're doing all the right things. You're reading the books. You're listening to the people speak. You're reaching out to the right people. It should happen, right? And I should get there. So I just stopped worrying about reaching it and just made sure that every time I have an idea, I just act on it. Every time I have something I want to do, I just do it. Like I said, Hustle Secret Society started because of a video. Next minute, I'm meeting venue owners in Manchester trying to find out how I can fit 50 people in a bar during coronavirus. And the podcast started because I met someone on a Zoom call and went, you know what, I should probably try and find other people like this. And I'm going to start a podcast. I didn't know what I was doing, but I did it. Everything I do right now is just, I go, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. And I think that's what a lot of people, we overthink it, right? So we sit and we worry about it and we go, is it going to work? You know, if I sat and thought about, will hustle work? I wouldn't have gone full time on it. I would be looking for a job right now. I don't know where my next client's coming from, but they keep finding me. And I think you just got to believe that it's going to be okay. And when it doesn't work out, it's going to get better, and just go step to step. Like, say with Hidden Travel, if I thought, how am I going to start this company? I would never have started it, but I didn't. I just found a business partner. I just started taking steps. We just started going, let's try this, let's do this. And all of a sudden we have a company and we've got cash in the bank from a startup fund. Like, and I guess I've just stopped worrying and just started jumping into things. And I can feel deep down that it's going to be all right. And I don't know how to explain it to anyone. And in the future, I swear to God, if I get to 40 and I'm skinned, I'll be so pissed off because I've wasted my entire life going, it's going to be all right. And they're like, you see, dickhead, no, I knew it wasn't going to be.
So, yeah. Kind of touching on that and people being kind of cynical, I guess, and when you put yourself out there, which obviously you do, and you're very open and honest, you do attract like kind of nasty and barbed comments. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you deal with the hate?
I think I look at it because I was on the show. A lot of I got used to it real quick, actually. You know, if you've got millions of people scrutinizing you making mistakes on TV, it very quickly just becomes noise. And so I would, when I first started getting attention from, because obviously no one knew what I was doing. No one knows. For like last few years, I've been grafting away in the background, trying to do things and attending all the networking events and reaching out to entrepreneurs and just been pestering. I even started filming people in their offices in 2015, where I was like knocking on the door going, can I film you and find out how you started an agency? These are all things that no one cared about, no one knew about. But when you're on TV, it's blasted out there, and all your friends and family go, oh, I didn't know you did that. And like even the closest people to you, like my closest friends, could not have told you. They only knew that I did marketing. They did not know anything else I was doing. So for the first time, I'm having all these people comment on what I'm up to. And you're right. A lot of people do say negative stuff. And at first I would sort of I'd go through it and I'd only read the negative ones. And I'd be like, oh, you little wanker. And I'd reply. And sometimes just to make a point, if there's like a thread of people being negative, I'll go and message every single one of them. Just let them know I'm a real person. I will kick their ass if I see them. People think that you're not a real person. I will actually see you in real life. And then you go and find out where they live, and you go and find their street address, and then you go and find out where the kids go to school, and you're like, wait, that's not true, by the way.
Fuck you up.
I'll find you. No, but I was obsessed with it right at first, and then I just went, why are they writing this? Like, why are they being negative? And I realized that it's because they will never do anything different. That's why their mindset is that way. It's because it's a threat to their own security. If you've always been told, go to school, get a good grades, get a job, and do this, and then someone is doing that, and then they just go completely off-piste, and then people are going, oh, that's good. You look at your own life and you go, well, no, I'm supposed to be doing the right thing. This is the right path. I speak in this way. I act this way. Why am I not winning? And you start to compare yourself. And that's something I've never done. I've never compared myself. And when I see successful people, I admire them. Like if I see a Lamborghini in front of me, I smile and go, I can't wait to own one of them.
Yeah.
It's really weird, but it's a mindset I think came from meeting those successful entrepreneurs where I admired every one of them. I wasn't jealous. I wasn't jealous of their money or the wealth or what they had. It was like, wow, how did you get there? And I looked at it like awestruck, like all, sorry, from in it all. And then that's kind of it carried on through my life. So I think it's just a mindset thing. I think people are just looking and comparing their own lives and going, that's not right. Why should he do that when I do all the right things and I'm doing this and I'm struggling to pay my bills? Well, it's like, I'm struggling to pay my fucking bills. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I literally don't know day to day. Like, I had 2 website sales come in today. Fuck knows where they came from. Like, they just came because I was having conversations with people. And the point is, my life is risky because I don't know at what point the bailiffs will take the car. They've chosen to have a more secure life, which is fine, but it's unsecure up to a certain point. I thought I had a secure life with a job, but it wasn't. I lost that job and it's pulled from my feet. So how secure and like, what's the difference? Like, I have a job, I think I'm secure. I just go on my own and maybe I make it, maybe I don't. But either way, I know I'm in control of what's going on. So I think those negative comments stem from people's own worries, their own self issues. And when they say them now, I just sort of look at them like that. And I just go, I know why you are that way. And I just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah. No, good for you, man. Do you feel like you're in obviously after the apprentice, do you feel like you're in a better or worse place, or do you think your life is easier or harder because of being on the show?
I think it's better because everyone knows what it's very hard to make people listen to what you're doing. Like, it's very hard to make a point and say, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is what I'm doing. It's even harder to make people understand how you operate and what your values are. And like the fact that I say yes to every opportunity and I'll always jump into things. People don't care. And why should they? Why should anyone give a shit what you're doing? And so it was a way that people took notice. Oh, look at this guy. I've met him before. He was at this event, or I know this guy from this, or he interviewed me when I was at this business, or whatever. And they go, oh, and they start putting the pieces together, and they go, oh, look, like he's been grafting for years, and we've only just heard of him. So I think in that sense, it was a great way to sort of expose who you are, and people just sort of listen for a minute. But since The Apprentice has gone, it's died down. But actually, what's happened, what's remained, has the people that were listening to the story before and following who I am as a person are still seeing that, and now they're following my personal journey. Now it's not just, oh, he's that guy in The Apprentice. Now it's more, oh, he's that guy, he just got made redundant and he's trying to start a marketing business and he's got a travel company, even though he can't start a travel company. And it's like everyone's sort of watching going, is it going to happen, or is he going to just fuck this right up? And I think that's the difference that I've noticed. The switch has been from, oh, this is The Apprentice, to more like, oh, this is what he's doing, which is I think, again, made life easier for me because, people are more open to having conversations with me. Because they've had an interaction or they've seen me somewhere before. So, people aren't afraid to say, openly criticize something, but not in a negative way, in a positive way. They might openly say, that's really good, or that's really shit, Lewis, why have you done? And they feel like they know me a little bit. So I think it's enabled people to engage with me and converse with me. Whereas if I was just posting out naturally on social and stuff and sharing what's going on, no one has to give a shit. Like, no one has to care. But I appreciate the fact that some of them now do.
Okay, man. So what's your your businesses next few months? How are you managing the kind of difficulties in terms of uncertainty? What's your plan?
I guess I'm on the no plan. The same logic I was talking about before, where I just try not to worry about things. We are aware of things that are happening. So, for example, the travel company, we're aware that we can't travel right now. We're aware of where we can go and where we think things might happen in the next 6 months where there's another issue. We're prepared and we've factored it into our thought process, but we're not letting that stop us. And I think that's the only way that a lot of businesses can survive this is you've got to take note of what's happening, be aware of it. Don't let it panic you into stopping everything altogether or just throwing in the towel, because this is just when times get hard, right? And the best part about when times get hard is loads of companies throw in the towel. which just opens the opportunity up, right? Like, it's more of an opportunity. Like, I know that if two-year travelers stop and spend on their marketing and they're going to stop destinations, they're just going to try and put all these restrictions in place, then it's a great time for me to swoop in because they're focused on something else. And it's competitive advantage. And because I'm agile enough to take advantage of something and be aware of it and factor it in. And I think that's the same with marketing right now. Like, I'm aware that coronavirus has made a lot of businesses have to be digital, and they have no choice, and therefore they have to have an online presence, and they have to try and manage the traffic, and they have to get leads that way now. And as a result of that, a lot of agencies at the moment are sort of going, "Whoa, let's just stop. Like, let's slow the workload. You know, or they might be doing the opposite. They might be just harassing everyone." But either way, I can take note of what they're all doing and go, "Well, I'm going to do this, and I think this is the benefit we can provide." So it's how can you adapt for the situation? And if we do well now, you can sure as shit believe that when everything returns to normal, we're going to smash it, because this is the testing and trial, the point which is not going to be the hardest, right? So it's only going to get easier. So if we can build something now, the same when the recession happened. Most of the businesses that started in the recession and were successful in the recession are now still very successful. And it's because they came through a period where it was all like batten down the hatches and you've got to be very careful what you do. And not a lot of people have money, but actually when it all got better, they're in a much stronger position. So I think right now, more than anything, is a period where we're going to see a lot of shifts, a lot of changes, and a lot of people are starting their own thing. A lot of people are going their own path and realizing that there's no security in a job anymore. Like, there just isn't. It's just not. It's about as secure as doing it yourself. Like, so why wouldn't you? And I think that shift and that change in attitude and the way in which people are buying and using the internet and technology, etc., is just, it's all up for grabs as who can move the fastest and adapt that into what they're doing as business.
You're touching on your disruptive kind of methodology for you got a dog to bark on command when someone says hustle. Would you recommend that strategy for like disruption or disruptive marketing for every business, or does it only work for a very kind of small, brave kind of section of businesses?
I think that type of mindset is a mindset thing. You can't force it on a business. It has to be in your values and your core beliefs. If you're in an industry, for example, where it's run by, you know, old guys and, you know, they've been around for it, like, say, let's take law. It's a traditional industry. It's boring as hell. The guys that run it were born 30 or 40 years before a fucking smartphone was invented. Like, they're never going to get it, right? So what is the point in trying to force it on them? But then you'll get the odd one that goes, we want to be different. We believe in being different. And we need to find someone who feels like we do, right? So they'll find me and we'll discuss and we'll go, you know what? It's so easy to smash it in your industry because look at all these boring businesses all doing the same tired old crap routine. They're not getting people. And this is how the consumers are behaving right now. And they're not even taking note. Therefore, we do this and we do it in this disruptive method and therefore we win. So it has to be, it can't be everyone. It can be any industry. It can be, you know, any type of business, but it has to be a business that is willing and prepared to be different and also receive criticism because of it. You know, think about it, right? When we'll take the law firm as an example. If one law firm starts going completely off piece and doing something different and they're winning clients, that's going to piss off everyone else in their industry because they're going to be like, why are they beating us? And they shouldn't be doing that. That's not how we operate. I had a dentist, a dental technician on my podcast, and he was on a podcast called Fuck the Norm. He had his peers message him going, you should not have taken part in a podcast that says Fuck the Norm. But the content was actually about how to be different in your industry and how to business. They didn't listen to that. They just saw so all of a sudden being different comes at risk. There's always that old adage where it's the nail that sticks out gets hammered. Yeah. Well, people have been trying to hammer me for fucking years and it's never worked. You know? They can keep telling me to grow up, but actually fuck them. Yeah. So I don't know. It depends on how resilient you are as a person, like, but also, you know, how willing you are to take a risk and how much it'll pay off. Think about like when Amazon started selling books online. Every other book, bookstore and everything said you're a bunch of wankers. That's not how you do it. That's not how we do it. I bet he wasn't invited to the Christmas parties. Yeah. But I mean, realistically, that's how you revolutionize and change an industry. Yeah. I know for a fact, Hidden Travel, we're not going to be invited to the tour operators. I don't know. Menage. I can't remember. Is it Menage? No.
That's a threesome, isn't it?
Kiss each other's asses, whatever.
Yeah.
We're not going to be invited to these things. We're going to go do different, and we're going to literally say we don't like what you're doing. We're going to do it our own way. And when you go your own way in life, whether it's a personal thing or whether it's starting a business or if it's marketing your business, if you go your own way, you're going to piss people off. It's a sign you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Because whilst they try and fight you, first they'll ignore you, then they try and fight you, and then they'll come to you and go, how did you do that? And then they'll make their own changes. By that point, you're already on to the next thing. So it's just about pipping them at the post. And I think that sort of marketing, I've called it disruptive marketing. It's not disruptive. It's common sense if you actually think about it.
Yeah. No, good, man. Cool. Is there anything else, obviously I can edit this shit out, but is there anything else that you want to talk about or cover, or kind of me to ask you?
Not really. No, we mentioned, what do we make? The only things I really have going on in my life is Hustle, Hidden podcast, and the Hustle Secret Society. We covered all those. But I'm pretty much just wrapped up in all that at the moment. I've noticed that a lot of the other people that are on the show, like looking at other opportunities and TV shows. I'm like, maybe I should do a TV show now and like go do celebrity,
Would you do any of that stuff? Would you do it?
I was talking about this. Do you know what? I'd have to wait up, but realistically, I'm just so busy, and like my dream has not been to be a celebrity. I couldn't give a shit.
Yeah,
that's not what I'm interested in. I'm only interested in. All I've wanted since I was like 21 years old is to be a successful business owner. I kept saying I want to raise an empire. I want to start a cult. I want to take over a town and like fence it off and not let anyone in. I'm not going to get there by pissing around doing distracted. I think there are a lot of them distractions, but some of them would be beneficial. Like if it, for example, was a travel thing and it was like, oh, actually, that could align with him.
Yeah.
Or if it was about disruption or whatever, like, there you go, that aligns with Hustle. So I think I have to wait up, but realistically, I've got to try and avoid distractions. I've got to stop caring about the stuff that's like, in your face, sort of fluffy stuff. That's not about that. I'm more interested in this. I've got to operate in a higher frequency and focus on. And I think that's that laser focus that a lot of people, you get distracted, don't you? You go, I want to do this, and you just sort of get distracted. And then you turn around, you're like 40 years old, you go, shit, where did the time go? And you go and buy a red sports car. I think trying to stay focused is probably one of the hardest things. But yeah, so I've got to try and focus and stay wrapped up in these businesses, and I only take part in things that I will bolster Hidden or bolster a Hustle. And who knows, one day I'll get to, I don't know, do something completely random.
I think when you've got like an entrepreneurial mind and a creative mind and like an inventive mind like you have, it is really hard to kind of stay focused on a few bits. And yeah, you're right. It would be so easy or so tempting to take, a big wad of cash to be in one of them celebrity shows. But I think where your business plans are so kind of strong and solid, like it would completely distract and probably detract from what you're trying to do with those. So, not that I'm any good at advice, but I think you're kind of genuine enough to not need to do that and to kind of, make Hidden and Hustle like successful in their own rights without the need to kind of, I don't know, go on, I don't know, Celebrity Goes Dating or whatever. I don't know. Because I'm not a fan of that stuff.
They're both, do you know what, but what's even weirder, right? I don't know how I cook these things up in my head. Like, you come up with an idea and you go, I want to do this. And then now I look, obviously, they've only just sort of started kicking off both of them, but there's a lot of thought going in. I look at both brands and I can see my personality in both. Like Hustle is an agency focused on fucking what everyone else does and choosing and just doing different and smashing it and being disruptive. Yeah. That is what my teachers would describe me as a kid. Hidden Travel is all about. Yeah, Hidden Travel is all about the same sort of thing, but it's more about being aspirational and finding things that people don't think of and thinking outside the box. And so my personality and my personal beliefs are in both these companies. I will find it so weird if in 10 years, both of them grow and they both take on their own form and my personality is still in these businesses. That'll be the weirdest. And I think that's what's quite exciting for me, because these are things you don't experience. You don't notice until you start making moves. I still remember the time when I started, it was the very first Hidden Travel, I guess it would be. I did a Blackpool trip for all the for all of the foreign students in my university. I took them to Blackpool because I wanted to give them the most British experience that I could find. So I took them to Blackpool, got a discount on the it's literally a Hidden Travel holiday, isn't it? I took them to the Pleasure Beach, got them discount there, got them discount on fish and chips, took them to the beach, took them to the pier. And you had 50 students from like the South Sudan, like Egypt, like running around going, "Thank you, Lewis, this is amazing." I'm like, I look like the weirdest sex trafficker graced the sands of Blackpool. But what sticks with me about that day is obviously I remember everyone having a great time and running around, and they loved it because they went to university in Chester. They'd never gone outside Chester, never gone probably went as far as Liverpool, never anywhere else. And then the most British thing is Blackpool.
Yeah.
They loved it because it was what they came to the UK to study for, was to see what England was like. Now that is, don't get me wrong, that is the ass crack of England. But,
Yeah. Literally the
offense.
arsehole of England. Yeah.
No offense to anyone from Blackpool, but it is a shit. But
Yeah.
that's what they wanted to see. And I gave them that experience, and they still message me today saying thank you for that day. But what really sticks in my head was not all of that, was the fact that I came up with this idea in my head. I said it was going to cost, I think it was 29 quid. I rang a coach company. I booked the transport with no deposit. I went, I can't pay anything, but I don't know how big it's going to need to be. But and they just went, all right, screw it, we'll do this. They got on board. I made the leaflets myself on Photoshop, and then I went and I bought a ticket book from Staples, and then I gave people a piece of paper that says Blackpool trip, one person and a name. And I gave them a piece of paper, and they gave me 30 quid for that piece of paper. But it was only because I said that piece of paper was worth 30 quid that they gave me. And I was, and that I remember the exchanging of the money, because for me that was an idea in my head that I'd said that piece of paper was worth 30 quid. They perceived that value in that ticket because of the things I'd done. That was a moment which, again, I wouldn't have come across unless I'd tried something. And I think those little things, like the fact I've said I've just noticed my personality in both these brands, those little things are experiences that you only really ever have in life if you take risks and you try something different. And who knows, if it might not work out, but I tell you what, I can never be sad on a deathbed going, I wish I'd tried, because if all you ever do is try, like, you can never be disappointed. Doesn't matter how skint you are, doesn't matter how shit the job is, doesn't matter if I end up working, as a cleaner at 6 a.m. to try and stay afloat whilst doing this, I'm still doing my own thing, and I don't think you can never take that away from someone. And I think anyone that's tried to do something will have their own things and their own things they feel and noticed along the way, and those moments are the rewards for taking those risks.
Yeah, mate. I love that. I think that's, and especially the whole Blackpool trip as well. Do you know what you should do? When Hidden's massive, you should do like a little reunion to Blackpool for the day. I used to go there. We went to the Illuminations and Ripley's, believe it or not, and with the Big Dipper and the Big One. And we used to love all that shit. It's but it is
it's proper on brand.
Yeah,
on brand as well.
Proper on brand, yeah. Yeah, he is a heroin addict on the street.
These are the things that, like, we take for granted, like, and I think what the difference was, me, I'd noticed that, I started speaking to these people that were on my course and that were in other groups, and they're like, why have you come to, I was like, why the fuck would you come from, like, one guy was from Georgia, like Georgia near Ukraine, and I was like, why would you come all that way and you spend like twice the fees a year to study in Chester? Like, not even Manchester, Chester. Like, it's a lovely town, but it's really boring. And then the nearest place is Liverpool, and that's a massive tax. And I was like, what have you done since you've been here? And my friend who was from Nigeria was like, nah, nothing. Like, nothing. He had two sisters that were also from Nigeria, that also studied in Chester. None of them had left Chester or Liverpool. And that was just depressing to me. I said, and that's where I just went, I'm going to take you on a British experience. I was like, it sounded more like a threat. It's like, I'm going to take you on a British.
Yeah. What, to Blackpool? Oh, please don't know.
If they'd known, they would have known, like, not to go there. But again, like, I've still got a picture from that day. I actually talk about that story with students when I talk. And what was interesting about that little venture was that the university tried to shut me down. They said I had to pay like mafia. They were like, you have to pay us commission for that. I was like, fuck you, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And then they pulled my leaflets and flyers down, and so I just went around them and started, like, it was like I was essentially dodgy dealing Blackpool trips, like, like, hey, you want to buy a trip, kind of thing.
Yeah. Want to get some rock as well.
It was even more difficult because it was like sticking it to the man. The man's trying to shut us down, and we're trying to go Blackpool. And I think they realised they lost when I rocked up with a massive coach outside the university on a Sunday. That in itself was quite cool. Yeah, it was cool in itself. Like, I was 24 at the time, and I had this coach that I'd booked, and it was mine, and I could drive it off a cliff if I wanted to. I was like, the power.
Yeah, do it for one. That's wicked, man. That's really cool. So you've always had that, like, kind of entrepreneurial spirit and of kind of feeling of making money is what really, like, I don't know, gets you going.
Yeah, do you know what? I don't know if, like, for me, I want to be wealthy, but like when I look at my my vision board and stuff, none of it's not really money. It's more like, I want to have a nice car, I want to have a nice apartment and stuff, but it's not really money driven. It's more, I want to build things. So obviously, I guess in the background of it all comes down to the fact that I want to be earning enough that, I don't have to worry about it. Like, but there's not like a figure. I'm not going, I want to be the richest person. I just want to build things. And like, I already know with Hidden and Hustle, I already have, you know, another couple of ideas of things that I want to do, but I know I can't focus on them just right now. So I have to focus on these two, and then I can start paying attention. And like, I know I just want to build things. I think that's the best way of explaining it. I want to have all these things built, and then, you know, when I'm bored, you know, sell that to someone else to take on, and then go and do another. And I think it's the excitement and the chase of the hunt that I like, because it is exciting. You have an idea, it's like, oh, how could we do this? And then it's all the struggle and the fight, and you've got no money, and that's the point when everyone else just goes, forget it. But actually, we're not going to do that because we're stupid, so we're going to keep it. And I think that's the exciting thing. Now, obviously, the idea will be, you know, they'll make enough money, but I don't really care for that. Like, it's not what drives me. I think what drives me is the fact that I just don't want to do what anyone else does. I don't want to regret anything. When it's all said and done, I just don't want to have any regrets. And I think it takes a lot of people a long time to figure that out. But luckily, I noticed that those people I met when I was a young person abroad, like at a young age, that was sort of like, like my mum was always skinny. We had nothing when I was a kid. I was like, I don't want that. I never want that. I want what them guys have. And they had really nice, happy families, and they had really nice hotels. And they, you know, I didn't even sit around the table and eat with my family. In fact, I don't think I've ever sat around the table and eaten with my, I remember when I had a girlfriend at 16, I went around to her house, and on Sunday they all sat around the table and ate roast, and I was like, what the fuck are we all doing here? I was like, what am I supposed to talk about? So grandma's coming round, she's a bit racist, you'll get used to it. I'm like, what? Why is grandma coming round? And I don't want to talk to her anyway. It's just like that.
Yeah.
But that was just what families did, you know, and I didn't know that. So I think I just went, oh, there's a different life here, and I'm going after what I want.
Wicked, man. So cool. I think that's quite a nice place to kind of wrap this up, I reckon. It's been amazing. It's been a pleasure. It's so funny. Obviously, I know I don't want to pronounce too much, but when it was first on there, I probably had about 3 or 4 messages from different people saying, "There's a guy on The Apprentice. You know, you look just like him." And I was like, I watched it, and I was like, like he's so much more muscly than I am. Like, there's no muscle there. But yeah, I can see similarities, mate. Sometimes it's like, you know, looking in a mirror, but just a non-bearded me.
Yeah, I'm going to grow a beard now. Just freak you out.
Yes, well, fucking hell.
Everything you do, I'm just going to copy you.
Yeah, mate, grow a beard, put on loads of weight, lose all of your muscle, and just have a shit diet, and that's essentially, you know, what I do.
So I just need a beard then.
Just a beard.
No, it's been a pleasure meeting you, mate. And thanks for having a chat. I like these sort of talks because it's sort of like, even as I'm talking through things, it reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing and stuff. So it keeps me on focus. Instead of me sitting there going, oh, I can't be arsed. Like, it'd be easier to just go and work fucking, I don't know, Primark's marketing department.
Yeah.
But it keeps you focused.
Mate, I started my own business like nearly 3 years ago now, and I wouldn't be able to work for anyone else now. Like, I just can't imagine like having to answer to someone else or put up with their bullshit. If someone says, "Oh, you need to be in the office for 8 o'clock," it's like, why? What the fuck do I need to do that? Like, I think I'm pretty much unemployable now, just because I wouldn't take shit. Or I don't know. I just wouldn't be able to work for someone else. It's, you know.
You know what? I honestly believe I've always been unemployable. Like, so when I was in jobs, I used to argue, give shit back to people. And I remember I had one boss. It was my first job out of university, and she used to talk about how, because I was coming from the Hassenden, there's traffic all over Manchester. You've got parking city. It's a nightmare. It takes about 2 hours to get into the city. So I was setting off at like 6:30 in the morning. I was late some days by 5 minutes. She used to complain every time I was 5 minutes late, but then she would stroll in and like half an hour, 35, 40 minutes late, wherever she wanted. So I started my very first job. I actually kept a record of all the time she was late, my manager. Because I knew one day she was going to put me in an office. When she put me in the office, I was like, right, okay, how many times have I been late? 6 times. Well, here's 35 times that you were later than me. I got fired. But
that's fucking quality.
The point was, I just never felt like right, and I never got on just to get on, and I didn't make friends because it's circumstantial. You know, I hated the sort of cheesy fakeness that people would have with each other in the office, and I just say it how it is, and then people get offended, and it's like, fuck me, like, am I autistic or am I just not getting on with people?
Yeah.
And I think that's I just moved from job to job to get enough information. I sort of fell out of, you know, people get loyalty. I never had that. So I never felt loyal to any business. I was there. As long as I was there, I was getting as much knowledge as I could possibly get, making as many friends with as many people as I needed to before I was moving on to the next job. I'd take jobs and continue interviewing for the next. So like, I'd get a job as a marketing manager. I'd start applying to be a director, and I'd just keep interviewing consistently for years. That's what I've always done. And that shows me that I shouldn't work for anyone.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's I suppose it's about I did similar things, and I had a contact center job, and obviously they would want you ready to be, start on the phones at like 8 o'clock, to be able to answer calls. And obviously, if you'd finish at 5, I would always start getting ready, like 5 to 5 to kind of finish. And they say, well, hold on, why are you getting up and getting ready to go home? I was like, well, if you want me to be ready to start at 8, I'm going to be ready to leave at 5. And they didn't particularly like me because I questioned the authority there all the time. But it's yeah, I completely get where you're coming from.
I guess it's a risk. It's all well and good me talking about this sort of stuff now, but the risk is that I'm going so far in on my own stuff. Like there is no back out. I cannot go and get another job. Like I'm going to be so unemployable. Like if it doesn't work, I am fucked. I have to start all over again. So
Mate,
I think that's what you have to do.
but it will work with your drive and determination. It's I genuinely believe it. So I talk to some people, and they talk through stuff, and you think, yeah, that's probably not going to happen. That's it's not a viable concept, or it's just a bit wishy-washy. Whereas yours is so defined and so kind of logical, especially the hidden travel. Like I can completely get that 25 to 35 demographic who for them their Instagram pictures have so much value to them socially. They can't get that by going to Cyprus and taking some pictures on, was it Nissi Beach? I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Or Iron Apple, whatever. Because everyone does that. Everyone's got the same photo of them standing outside that, or even going to somewhere like Thailand, having a picture next to a sedated tiger or whatnot. It's just not the same anymore. You need to be pushing the boundaries and going to some really cool places. And that age group has got disposable income to spend on stuff like that. So yeah, mate, I think you'll be fine. I genuinely,
now more than ever as well. Now more than ever, you've got people making money from selling online, on websites, YouTubers, like people who make money from Instagram. Like there's so many young people with cash now, which would never have been there before. It's just very interesting. And I think the one thing, I don't know, like I said, the one thing that's very different about both the businesses I work with, they both have an emotion within them. It's like hustle is a feeling. If you read my website, it's an ethos, it's a movement. I made the word up. I say what it is. Yeah. It used to be Hakuna Matata, but then now, I mixed that up then. I meant to say it used to mean no worries, but then that was Hakuna Matata. So now it means it's an ethos, it's a way of life. I put this emotion into them. And the same with hidden. You'll read it. It says things like, "We believe in this. We believe it, and this is why we're doing it." It's not like this is what we're doing. And I think as long as you have an emotion and you have really strong values in a business, people will find and people will agree with you, or they will disagree with you. And the ones that agree are the ones you should care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know. Like I said, I have no fucking idea if anything will work. But if they do, I will hopefully sell business courses on this one day.
Make some fucking serious scud on, mate. That's wicked. That's no, look, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me. I know it's been a bit of a long time coming, and ideally I would have liked to have done it kind of face to face and over a couple of pints, but maybe we'll do another one in kind of 6 months time on how things are going and see where you're at, because it's
that'd be interesting.
Yeah, really interesting.
It'd be a completely different chat. With me just aged like that.
Oh. Yeah, fucking hell. But no, mate, it's been a pleasure, and thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it.
Cheers, buddy. Right, have a good day, and
you too, mate. Speak to you soon. Take care, mate.
Bye.